Hi there, I'm Dr. Hayford Gyamfi, the Research Coordinator of Peace Country Beef and Forage Association here in Fairview, Northern Alberta. So going into the season, there are a few things that we need to kind of iron out so that we can set you up for success in 2026. So producers face a lot of challenges in the peas, and one of them is drought. So going forward into the upcoming season, there are a few tips I would like to share with you to set you up for success in 2026. So when we talk about drought, we refer to a prolonged below average moisture within our cropping systems, which basically affects crop productivity and most of the times lack of water for our livestock. So what is the best way to go? I'd like to share with you some tips going into the season, and that is through building a resilient soil. So when we talk about building resilient soil, we are talking about building a soil to a point where it can withstand shocks. And one of the shocks is lack of moisture within our cropping systems. And we are able to build resilient soils. We'll be able to retain most of the moisture when we have them for our plants to use. The core components of building resilient soil will be improving our soil structure, which improves infiltration overall, improving our organic material content, improving the soil biology, which is a crucial factor, and increasing our ground coverage. So let's go through some of these tips. One, I'd like to talk to you about covering our fields. So when we talk about ground cover, we are talking about providing protection or armor for our fields. When we leave our fields too exposed to the direct sunshine or sunlight, we end up having too much water evaporated from our system. And as we are thinking of retaining our soil moisture, we don't want to leave our soil exposed. So how can we do this? We can do this through using living plants, through our green manure, or even using mulching to kind of cover our fields. The second tip I'd like to briefly touch on is minimizing our soil disturbance. Yes, tillage is something we use in preparing our land going into the next season. However, we should be mindful of how we do it. Because when we overdo it, what happens is we end up exposing our fields to direct sunshine, which of course causes evaporation. It also impacts the living organisms and also kind of degrade the organic material content over time. Have we thought about the seed bank? When we do tillage, we end up bringing lots of seeds, which are weeds from the seed bank, and which is also a problem to us. Okay, and then building the organic material content within our cropping system. This is huge for us because it's going to help improve our soil structure, which helps retain a lot of moisture. It's also going to help recycle the nutrient content within our cropping system. Fun fact, did you know that when you increase your organic material up to 1%, your field is able to hold up to 300,000 liters per hectare at a depth of 30 centimeters? That is a good thing for our field. Then let's talk about diversity. Let's think about farming the natural way. Yes, we do monocrops, but have we thought about bringing in multi-species? Because when we do that, we kind of bring a balance into the usage of nutrients. Some crops have deeper rooting systems, others have shallow rooting systems. But when we blend them together, there is an efficiency in the usage of resource within our systems. And then the final thing, livestock integration. Livestock are very important in cropping systems, especially in grazing systems, because they are able to stimulate a regrowth of our forage stands, comparing it to haying field. Not just that, when they tag onto the plant, they send a shock to the rooting system of the plant, which releases more carbon into the soil, and microbes are able to use that to produce more carbon. It means you are saving a lot of carbon within your cropping system. So I'd like to leave you with these final thoughts. Going into the season, let's try as much as possible to do these few things. Let's utilize good or poor quality feed. Apart from that, let's think about balancing our ration. Because when we do that, it kind of saves us costs, and we know exactly what we are feeding to our farm animals. There are various softwares out there that we can use to properly balance our ration for our cattle. Not just that, we should avoid overgrazing. To me, overgrazing is taking more than 50% of your forage from the field. We should kind of minimize that. I know it's hard because sometimes there is no feed and you want to graze more, but we should try and minimize overgrazing. We should also prioritize the health of our cattle. We can feed the cattle with all that we want, but if it's not in a good shape, then it means the cattle is not going to make use of it, and that means more cost in buying more feed. And apart from that, we should minimize the soil disturbance, because as we've previously touched on, too much disturbance can harm your field in general. And then the final one is try to protect your soil in terms of covering it. Because when we cover it, we have a lot of snow capture, and our fields are able to retain more moisture for the upcoming season. I'll see you next time, sometime.